welcome to our live sessions with artists, designers, illustrators, and other creatives all over the world. Today, our guest is Payal. She is a muralist artist, and she can create a piece of art from a blank page, from a blank wall, actually. And today, we will learn from her how to make your art vivid and vibrant on the walls, the main tips and techniques, different approaches to paint on walls, and maybe some of them can be really accessible to many artists who just want to try to create some murals. Some of them are for more professional ones. And if you want to get all these tips in your inbox, just subscribe to the newsletter, and then I will send you the email with all highlights from this interview. And we are ready to start. I see the request from Payal. And we will be happy to answer them. Hello. Hi.
Hi,
Hi. Hi, Payal. How are you?
all good. Good. What about you?
Great too. Do I pronounce your name right? Correct me. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's
Payal.
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 You, yeah, yeah, you were
Okay. I love your
correct.
glasses. They're so vibrant.
Thank you so much. So, like everything around me is either blue or green.
Is it your favorite color? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for finding time to join this live because you're a mom of a newborn. Congratulations with the
Thank you
baby.
so much.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for joining
yeah.
us.
Thank
I
you
would
so much for
welcome.
having me.
I would love to ask you today everything about how to draw on walls, how to paint on walls, how to create these murals, and any techniques that you can um, advise to professional artists and for the beginner artist also. But let's start from the very beginning. If you can share a little bit about your artistic background, did you study art or design somewhere? As maybe you're self-taught artist. When you started to
Right.
draw.
Yeah. So I did not study art as like my art course. So I have completed my degree in computer science actually. So yeah, I did not study art, but I was always inclined towards art, but I did not have any proper formal education, you can say. So maybe just Pinterest and Instagram and YouTube have been my teachers, and I've been practicing since I was in school, but I maybe lack of guidance or I did not have proper knowledge back then. So I could not, find any proper courses related to art, and that's why I pursued computer science as my formal education. But later on, once I completed my degree, I got to know that okay, this is not what I can do for my entire life. I cannot sit for like 9 to 5. I cannot do desk job. I was more inclined creatively. So then I quit my job within like 3 months, and I've been doing this. Painting is my like full-time job since 2017. So yeah.
Yeah, but what exactly inspired you to start painting on walls?
Yeah. So, okay. So particularly on I when I started in 2017, I did not directly start with walls. I started very small. So what I used to do, I used to uh, make small customized presents. Say I used to make customized greeting cards, keychains, fridge magnets, coasters, customized shoes painting. I used to paint like for quite some time. For first, I guess 2 to 3 years, I painted just canvas shoes. And then eventually one thing led to another. Like only people used to request me that, okay, if you paint, because I used to advertise myself as you can get anything and everything hand painted over here. So people used to request that, okay, like my mom's birthday is coming, can you just paint this umbrella for her? Can you customize this for her? And then that thing used to be my next product. Then I used to get next 10 orders for umbrellas. And then eventually, after 4 5 years, I discovered a wall when I painted 2 3 walls for my friend. And then I was like, wow, that's like new discovery altogether, because I was hesitant at first, because when you look at wall, it's huge, so the size can be very overwhelming to you. But then once I completed painting that wall, I really enjoyed the process. And then I again posted it on Instagram, and it became a thing. And even I started liking painting it, and people started demanding it.
And how did it turn to commissions with the stores, with other brands, when it's not only
Yeah.
the ask for a friend to paint a wall, but a real commission from some company? How did it
True.
happen?
Um, So Instagram really helped me. So even if somebody, some new beginners, when they ask me that, like, how do I earn as a wall painting artist? So I always tell them that don't just experiment, you should create and also post it. You should also promote it. So I started posting whatever I was creating, even if it was for my friends or if it was for some small cafe. I started approaching from my end, like, hey, this is what I do. Would you like to, have my artwork on your wall? So I started getting small projects, like residential projects. Maybe somebody would invite me to paint their balcony wall or their living room wall. And then maybe some owner asked me to paint on their cafe wall. And then eventually I started building my digital profile as well. And Instagram really helped me because most of my projects, like till day, I do not have my website. Whatever projects I get are from word of mouth and from social media. That is Instagram and Facebook. That's it.
Mhm. Do you always work with the requests that came from people? I mean, that did you ever initiate, maybe proposed to decorate the wall for a restaurant or cafe by yourself? Or did you only answer the questions when someone wrote to you, hey, I want to paint a wall in my cafe, and you say, yeah, of course I can do this. Did you ever try to pitch your work somewhere? Yeah.
Pitch, yes. Yeah, so fortunately, unfortunately, nowadays I don't get to do that because I get a lot
Mhm.
of inquiries. But earlier, both things happened. Either some of my friends who were starting new businesses, new cafes, they approached me that, hey, we do not have a lot of budget, so this is the only thing we can, provide you. Can you do a mural for us? And another thing also happened when I was not having any projects in my hand. I was like, okay, I'm free, so why don't I pitch in? So I always believe in
Mhm.
asking for work when you don't have
Yeah,
any. There's no harm in doing that. So I love that. There's no thing like, oh, what do I do? I have so much followers, and how do I do that? No, when you're free, you should just approach whatever brands or whatever person you want to work with, and just straight away ask
yeah,
for work. So I did that
yeah.
initially.
This is what I'm interested because I know that many artists are shy, and it's hard to initiate this contact to offer your service. This is why,
Yeah,
if you can share
right.
maybe an example, a story, or how you usually did that. Did you write an email and DM, call?
Right.
How exactly did you do that?
Okay, so I remember one story. So from I listened to one, I heard one podcast, and in that there was one entrepreneur who she was running her multiple cafes and multiple boutiques. So I just loved the way she was talking in the podcast. I did not have any intention of maybe painting a mural for her. I just pinged her on Instagram. Hey, I happened to, listen to your podcast, and it was really inspiring and it was really great. And then while replying, she saw my profile and she was like, hey, I am opening a new cafe. Why don't you come meet me? And then I painted like three murals for her cafe eventually.
So it's important to
So
be
is
brave and just talk to people and show what you are doing also.
yes, definitely.
Do you remember the first wall that you painted? How did you learn what to do, what paint to use, how to transfer their image on the wall? Can you share with us that experience?
Right. So, yes. So there was a little bit of struggle because, as I said, I do not come from art background. I do not have a formal degree. So I actually did not know what colors to use. Will they be permanent? Like, do I need to use varnish like we use on canvas, or like how does it work? But again, YouTube was my teacher because I did not have any friends. Who were in art field because I was from computer science background. But then I watched a lot of YouTube videos and I experimented a lot. Fortunately, the first project I got was from my friend, from my classmate who has very limited budget, and he was also experimenting and was starting his new cafe. So he was like, okay, this is the only money I can give you and do whatever you can. So I had free canvas to experiment. So I did not have, that fear of making mistake.
Mhm.
And that's how the first project happened. And I was like, okay, it turned out pretty good. So after each wall, I learned something new, and then I got better and
Mhm.
better.
Can you walk us through your creative process when you prepare a project for the new mural, starting from inspiration, that sketch, the transfer it? It's really interesting to know in the
Right.
details, the main step and the more details on each, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. Yes, sure. So there are two type of clients. One with who just like my work and they want to get my work in their space. Maybe it can be commercial or it can be a residential wall. So they just want the art to be done. They do not have a specific idea like what theme it should be, like what size and everything. And the other kind of client, they have very firm opinions like, okay, this is the kind of theme and this is the kind of color palette we want. So these are the two kind of clients I get approached by. Let's go with the first one who do not have any idea, like who are not good at visualization. So what I do is, let's say I get approached by a client, uh, then I just ask them that just give me something like why do you want to get it done maybe, or where do you want to get it done? Is it outdoor wall, indoor wall? What are your favorite colors, or what do you have in mind when you think that you want to get a wall painted done? So I try to get as much insight in information from client, and then I make rough sketches. So my iPad comes handy because it uh, many of the clients do not have that visualization power, that how a small painting would look on a big wall. So then iPad comes handy where I can just click a picture of the wall and then I can transfer my painting and sketches on wall and then just show them, okay, these are the five examples, that's how it will look. And then I get approval from the client for sketching. Once they approve, then I make the final design, and then I get the colors accordingly because every wall is customized and it needs different kind of shades. So then we buy all stationery and colors and everything, and then you execute it. So for execution also, first you need to sketch it. So I use normal chalks for sketching, and then I use wall paints. So if it's a small wall, then normal freehand sketching is also okay. But if it's a huge wall, then a lot of equipments are required, like huge ladders and landscaping and projector and a
So,
lot more.
do you usually use the projector to transfer the sketch on the big wall or any other
Yeah.
technique? Okay, projector.
Yeah, so not really. I most of the time I do my designs freehand, but people or artists who use projector, I don't see any problem in that because many people think that like that's cheating, but it's not. Like you uh, you take out that time and you creatively design that design and you just use that projector as a tool to minimize your work, to project it from like transfer your design from your maybe sketchbook to your wall. So that's just one of the tool to minimize your work. So when it's required, when the wall is huge, and when the design is complicated, yes, I definitely use projector. But most of my designs are derived, like inclined towards natures, so they include a lot of leaves, and I really enjoy sketching leaves with my hands. So when the design is such, then I do it freehand. But when the design is it falls into the complicated zone, then I
Mhm.
definitely use projector.
Um, Actually, I don't see any cheating in using a projector. It's obviously just a tool for me. Just
Yeah.
yeah. And what about paint? How do you measure how much paint do you need for the project, especially when you have a
Mm,
specific tint that you mix maybe by yourself, or how do you
right.
calculate that?
Yeah, so that's a little tricky. It comes with experience and experiment. Like there's no specific measure for
Mhm.
it. Like let's say for resin, you have like proper proportions. Like you take resin into 2:1, you take this much resin and this much hardener. There is calculation that you can do. Okay, let's say if I want to cover 2 by 2 feet whatever tray, then I need this much of resin. But for paint, there is no specific measurement and calculator because it completely depends on what kind of design do you want to do. Do you want to do go plain, or do you want to make any abstract art, or do you want to do shading and a lot of smudging? Are you using brush or a sponge? So it completely depends on that. So if you want to give a plain color, let's say background color, there might have some measurement for that calculator. Okay, I need 1 liter of can, but for painting it comes with practice. So there's no specific. Many a times even now I go wrong that my color falls short, or many a times I need to buy 2 extra can of color. But yeah, get a hang of it once you start doing it.
Mhm.
There's no specific
Do you
calculator.
mostly use the direct color from the
Yeah, the
the
can
can? Yeah.
pen.
Do you just
Yeah.
or do you mix the colors usually for your walls?
Yeah. So, again, it depends on what kind of design. Let's say you're painting a flower or a leaf, which needs smudging and some mixing of colors, shading on the wall. Then what I do is I take the color in some separate form because when you take wall painting colors, you need to mix a little bit of water. So there are two types of colors again. There are some water-based and oil-based. For water-based color, you need to mix water in it. And again, if you have mixed the water in it, you cannot again use you cannot pour that color in the can again, otherwise it will spoil the entire can. So you have to take it out in another container. And if your question is like, how do you smudge it? Like, do you mix two colors separately and then apply it, or do you do the smudging on wall? So I do the mixing on the wall. I definitely take colors from can in some small containers so that it's handy also because the can is heavy and many a times you need to go up ladder and then paint it. So I take it in another container, but I do all the smudging and mixing of color directly on the wall and
Mhm.
not on the palette.
What are the most challenging moments for you in all this process?
Yeah. Uh, so First is scale, because that's the most overwhelming part. No matter how much you are good at drawing, if you mess up with the scale and proportion on wall, it's not going to look good. So you need to be really good, and you have to choose the right method to get your small drawing on the big scale, because many a times projection use is not uh, in our hand. Let's say the road is very wide and we are not able to use the
Mhm.
projector. So we have to use a manual method like grid method and tracing method. So those methods are tricky, and getting the scale correct is tricky. So once you get the scale and proportion right, then other things are pretty easy, at least
Mhm.
for me. Like I can't say for other artists. Then another challenge is it's physical physically demanding work. So it's not like sitting in your studio and painting on canvas. Not that it is easy. Obviously, even if you're sitting in your studio and painting a canvas, it obviously requires a lot of hours. But then if when you are out there on street, up there on ladder, and going up and down is really physically demanding job. So like you have to be creatively nice, but at the same time you have to be like your legs have to be really strong to do a mural work. And there's environmental factors. You're not indoor, so like they also affect, like whether it's sunny or it starts raining uh, randomly, so that can affect your process. Even there are random public interactions, which is my favorite part actually, but that can be a little disturbing for some artists. And also time constrained, because it's a huge space to complete. It's really tricky to complete in a specific time constraint when people have deadlines.
Uh, yeah, there are many interesting
Yeah,
things to talk about.
yeah,
First, I would like to ask you about the techniques, methods. You mentioned that you use the grid method to save these
yeah,
proportions, the scale of your drawing. And the second one, if you can repeat, I didn't hear
yeah,
the name. And could
yeah.
you please explain how you create this grid? What what is the size you take for the square of the grid, and maybe just
Right.
to give
Yeah.
us the clue what your favorite
Yes.
methods and how do you use them?
Yeah. So there are four, five methods. One is freehand, where you do everything chalk like freely. Second is projection, where you use projector. Third is grid, which I will explain in detail. Fourth is tracing, where you trace the design when you get it printed, but that can be used for a smaller wall. When the design is intricate, so you get that design printed on a paper, and then you stick that paper on the wall with carbon paper at the back. You just trace the design the way we do on maybe paper or canvas. And then there is a stencil as well. So let's say you want to draw a mandala, and that what you can do is you can get it printed, the design, and you can just spray on the wall. So whatever, I hope I'm able to explain it properly. You just make a customized stencil.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
do you know
yeah, yeah.
how
Yeah,
stencils
you
work?
cut
Yeah.
out the form, the shape of
Yes.
the cardboard or something like that.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
then
Correct.
hold
So
it
you
near
cut out the
the wall
outlines.
and spray so you
Spray
yeah.
it out. Right. So these are the five methods that are used: freehand, projection, tracing, stencil, and the fifth one is grid, which I will explain. So for grid method, where you cannot use projector or you cannot go freehand, then grid method really comes handy, and it's really uh, good method for street art where other methods can't be used. So let's say the wall is 10 by 10 feet, 10 feet by 10 feet. So what you do is you get your design printed on the similar pattern proportion, say 10 inches by 10 inches. You get the design printed, or maybe you don't even get that printed. You just, nowadays everybody has smartphones, so you just have the design on phone. You have many apps, photo editing apps, so you just make the grid on the phone itself. But if you want to go traditional way, so you get it printed on a paper, and then you like physically draw a grid. So what can be done for 10 by 10 inches design? So you divide that. That's your wish. So what I will do, I will divide that 10 by 10 into five parts. So after every 2 inch, I will draw a vertical line. After every 2 inch, I will draw a horizontal line. So the entire 10 inch by 10 inch design will be converted into 5 by 5 small squares, and they'll be like 2 inch by 2 inch per square. And the same way, I will draw that grid on the wall, leaving 2 feet distance. Again, straight lines, vertical line. Not necessary, I have to draw entire line, but then maybe some markings with chalk would do too. And then you don't need to worry about entire design. Let's say you're painting a face, which is really complicated. So you don't need to get worried about how will I get the proportions right. You just need to focus one grid at a time. So you start from top, bottom, or top up, whatever is convenient to you, and you just focus on one grid at a time. So whatever is there on that 2 by 2 inch grid, you just copy that all the lines as it is on that wall, which is 2 by 2 feet, and you just go one grid by one grid, and by end of it, you'll have your face ready
Yeah,
without any worry.
yeah. Thank you very much for sharing. Could you please also tell us if you have any favorite tools that you use to paint on walls, or many specific, I don't know, tools, maybe some brushes or rollers, or maybe your favorite paint that works better. Just with experience, usually artists find some favorites, and it would be interesting to know
Yeah,
what are yours.
yeah. Yeah, so I actually have one, like my
Oh,
favorite brush. I have tattooed it on my hand.
beautiful.
So it's a brush, and that's a
Yeah.
brush stroke and some leaves, which
Hmm.
is like my favorite thing to paint. So I do not have a specific tool as such, but I definitely do have some brushes, and not necessarily they have to be from some big brand and fancy brushes. You might find your favorite brush from some local hardware store as well. So yeah, I have a couple of brushes that I use, but I cannot just recommend that, oh, this is the best tool. Like if you have this brush, you'll be sorted. It's not like that. And also I should mention my iPad. iPad really comes handy. But that is just limited to my interaction with client and me. Many artists ask me that do we need to buy iPad or iPhone to, paint fancy
Hmm.
stuff. So definitely no, I do not recommend that you save money and then you buy first fancy stuff and then only you can like you'll be able to paint. Not at all. Even whatever phone you have, you can definitely work with that. You don't need to you don't need basically fancy stuff. You just need that vision and that confidence. If you can paint on paper, you can definitely paint on wall. You just need to get over with that overwhelming thing with the walls are big. If you go above that and if you have the confidence, then there are no specific tools. Obviously, the projector and good brushes and good quality of wall paint will come handy to you. But
Hmm.
yeah, as I said, there are no specific tools
Yeah.
as such.
But what do you pay attention when you're choosing the brush? What is the difference for you between the good brush and the bad brush?
Yeah. So, yes, it does matter. So, there's no specific brand I suggest, but I definitely tell everyone, even if I conduct wall painting workshops, I tell that it has to be of good quality. So the brush has to hold good amount of color, so that not after every maybe half feet or after 1 feet, you don't need to dip your brush in the color. It has to be, the bristles has to be of good quality. They're not, if they are falling off or sticking on the wall, they're not of good quality. So your brush has to be of good quality. There's no specific um, calculation for it has to be round brush or flat brush. Obviously, the choice is on the artist. Artist can, like, let's say I personally prefer flat brushes for drawing straight line, but I know artists who draw beautiful straight line with round brush. So again, I do not suggest a specific type of brush, but quality of brush really matters.
Yeah, any tips how to understand if the quality of the brush is good or not before you start to paint with it?
Yeah. So first, I would suggest that because if the brush is working nicely on canvas, not necessarily it'll work on wall, because wall is maybe sometimes walls are rough, right? So they may not give that much of coverage which the brush and the color is giving on canvas. So you need to do patch test on smaller wall, that what kind of design you want to do, and if that brush which you have is giving that much of coverage, if it is holding that much. And not on the brush, I also think that the way you're mixing colors also is very important. So even if you have a great quality of brush, but if you're not mixing the colors properly, the water
Mhm.
consistency is in large form, and though so your obviously your color is going to drip no matter how good quality brush you have. So both things matter: good quality brush with correct amount of color and water
Mm,
consistency, or color and oil
mm.
consistency.
Thank you. There's a good question in the comments. Can you
Yeah.
also give us an idea as how to price a wall painting, please?
Yeah. So I read that it is from Priyanka. So I suppose she's from India. So I will tell her in the Indian currency how she can do it. Great question. As we all know that there is no specific, like for every other thing. Let's say if you go to buy a chair, there is a specific range that the lowest quality chair will come at this price and the highest price chair will come at this point. We know there's a specific range, but when it comes to art, there is no specific range, right? It completely depends on artists, that how much the artists want to charge. Like there can be a painting for $1, and there can be, a blank canvas for $1 million, and then also it gets sold. So to price your painting is very tricky one, but I'll just give you a roughly idea like how it is done, how wall paintings are charged in Indian market. So wall paintings are basically charged per square feet, and uh, the per square feet rate, it can be of a range, and that completely depends on what kind of design you want and what kind of colors you are using, or where you are doing it. It is a residential project, it is a commercial project. So what I charge, my pricing starts from 200, 300 rupees per square feet, and it can go up to 1,000 rupees per square feet. And the range is so vast because let's say I want to paint monstera leaves, but again, what kind? So do you want it realistic? Do you want it cartoonish, 2D, 3D? Uh, do you want it like line art leaves? So depending on that, also my pricing will change. So that's why I always tell a range and not a specific
Mhm.
amount to client. And the larger the wall, the smaller the price per square feet paid, and vice versa. The smaller the wall, the larger the price.
Eyal, could you please tell us in American dollars or something for other listeners who are not sure, just
Yeah,
to understand
sh-
the range, the approximate, if you can, please?
yeah, sure. So the American listeners definitely gonna get shocked listening to Indian prices, because I have been like I follow a lot of artists who are outside India, and the prices really amazes me, because then I compare it to Indian prices, and then I feel we really get underpaid. Because if we compare, so around 80 rupees is $1. So if I say I charge 1,000 rupees per square feet, that is roughly hardly $10 to $12 per square feet. And that is highest price I'm saying. So that's like my highest price per square feet. It comes around $10 to $12, which is really not the case when like the artist I follow do not charge $10 to $12 per square feet. They definitely charge 100 or 200 or $300 per square feet.
Mhm.
So maybe the beginners start at low, but then who are maybe professional muralists who have a couple of years of experience, they definitely charge in 100 to 300 dollar per square
Mhm.
feet.
Thank you. There is another question in the comment. What is the projector you use or recommend? If it's Indian brand, please let us know.
So I definitely will answer your question and put it in my story because I use my brother's old projector. I'm so sorry. I do not know the company name, but it's very basic projector. So projectors pricing, again, there's a wide range depending on how much fallout they give. So if you place the projector near the wall and if it can give the larger picture, those kind of projectors are really expensive, something like $2,000 a piece or something like that. But mine one is really basic. I do not know the brand, but I will definitely click a picture and put it out on my story once the live
Yeah, thank you
ends.
so much. Another question from me. How do you balance your creative vision, your creative expression with the
Uh,
client's needs
hmm,
when you get the commission and
hmm,
clients ask you to
yeah,
decorate their wall in their restaurant or somewhere in the office? How do you balance this, your vision, their
yeah.
vision, and also the stuff?
Yeah, yeah. Many times they collide, and that's a tricky one. So I honestly, as an artist, try to give my genuine opinion. If I feel like the color they are suggesting, the theme they are suggesting, or the design they are suggesting is not going well with their house or their restaurant, then I genuinely tell them that these are the things we can do to alter it and to change it. But at the end of the day, they are the one who are, let's say, if I am painting a wall of their house, then they are the one who are going to stay there 24/7. So I'll have to consider their opinion as well, even if it doesn't align with my artistic vision. So I definitely give my opinion, but when they collide and when sometimes it happens that both the opinions do not match well, then I tend to listen to the client's opinion because it's their space and they are going to stay there and look at the art
Yeah,
every day.
thank you. Could you please also give any advice and share what helped you to build your art business? Because it's a steady income for you. These wall
Right,
paintings,
right.
you have big projects, and it's really interesting to know how did you manage to make it real? What helps you? What are your main secrets of building your art business?
Right. So, first, you have to have market awareness. You have to be digitally present. And everybody knows when COVID, like I'm not aware of outside India how hard it hit COVID-19 when there was lockdown and everybody was home. At least in India, everybody was home for like for 1 year in 2019 when the coronavirus hit. So those were the times when we were not able to, the artists who sell their art, paintings physically, maybe hold exhibitions, they were not able to do that. And everyone turned on Instagram or on social media platforms, basically. And then they realized the importance of social media. And many, as you said, that many artists are shy and they're not able to express or maybe showcase their art to the world. But what I feel is that is the need for the art, that you cannot just create good things and just keep it to yourself. So you need to put it out in the world as well. So I always say that you create and post, no matter how much likes you're getting, no matter how much comments you're getting, just don't compare yourself. Just like put it out in the world. You don't know who is watching, who will approach you. So just have the market awareness, have your digital presence, have your special account for your art or whatever business do you want to create. Have a specific page and account for it, and just be consistent with it. Because I lack discipline myself, but still I know the importance of it. So if you be consistent, if you get out that 30-40 minutes every day to create something and to put it out on your social media, it will definitely give good results. And initially, obviously, you will struggle because art is a field where there is no financial stability. It's not like a salary, like at the end of the month, you get this much specific amount. It's not like that. It completely depends on whatever projects you're getting. So, obviously, in the beginning, it is going to be a little bit of struggle. But if you be consistent and if you know how to, like, maybe if you know how to promote yourself and promote your work, then you will be in good space after a while.
Yeah, thank you. And talking about shy artists, I'm
Yeah.
wondering, was it hard for you to paint walls outdoors where a lot of people
Hmm.
come here and there, yeah,
Watching
watching
you.
you, asking you? Can you share, please, a little bit of that experience?
Yeah. Yeah. So, not really, because I am not really introvert. So I really, as I said earlier, that like public interactions are a bit of challenge when it comes to mural projects, and that is my favorite part. I really actually enjoy it. So for me, it did not like I did not it did not come across as a problem to me. I really enjoyed it. Rather, I love doing that. That is one of the factor that what inspires me to create murals outdoor. But I, at the same time, I definitely understand the side of artists who, like, for whom it can be challenging to go out, to interact in public, or even to sit at home and post work digitally. Even that is challenging for some people. So I can understand that, but unfortunately, I did not face that because I loved that part.
Okay. Also, you became a mom about a month ago. Congratulations once
Yeah.
more time. And
Thank
how did
you.
your life as an artist change?
Changed, yeah. Okay, yeah. So, till 8th month, like third trimester, I was working, I was taking up projects, but in the last month, like my doctor suggested not to, climb ladders and just
I can imagine.
take a little rest. Yeah, because my work demands physical work. That's why I had to take rest. Otherwise, I would have loved to work till last month as well. But then I took break in my last month and I enjoyed that phase as well. But after I delivered, now it's been 2 months, and you are mother yourself, so you know that it is very time demanding work. So now, after 2 months, I feel like I should start working a little by little. But obviously, me being a breastfeeding mom, I cannot go out and work. Maybe after 2-3 months, I can go out. But now I have started doing small digital projects. Maybe I do illustrations and I print it out on some small products and try to sell via Instagram. But I have not been able to paint physically the way I used to paint like 3 months ago. But as I told you, like I was busy in naming ceremony day before yesterday. So what I actually did was for the name reveal, I painted the name live. Like I did the calligraphy live. So yeah,
That's wonderful.
so that's how maybe I was just missing painting on canvas, like getting my hands dirty with paint. So I did that. But I guess it is gonna take a while for me to get back to wall painting at least. I can paint a canvas sitting at home, but for wall painting, I guess I need more two,
Yeah,
three months.
little by little. And that's wonderful that you continue to draw digitally, and soon you will come to walls. So give yourself a little bit
Yeah.
time. You just made
Yeah.
another human.
I know, right? It's unbelievable.
Okay, there's a
Yeah.
question. Have you ever thought of making a team for the projects, coming in and managing new motherhood as
Yeah.
well as earn by monitoring work by team?
Yeah. Good question, Nupura. So, yes. So, me being a freelance, a single team, like one woman army, I used to call myself, it was really hard for me to delegate the work. When it comes to hand painting, even if it's printing, you can just delegate the work to somebody else. But when it is hand painting work, it was really hard for me to give my work to somebody else because I am getting projects with my reference, with my name. So it was really hard for me to give that work to somebody else. But recently, like maybe once I got pregnant, I realized, okay, after 9 months, I won't be able to take up projects. So I started taking help, interns, for projects. And now I do not have a team, but I do have a friend of mine. He and I used to work together. So what I do is I just do the first talking part where I talk to the client, I get the design done digitally, and he is the one who executes it. So still the work is going on, but I am not officially painting it. So I do not call it my work. I am not putting it on my page, but I'm just keep doing that to engaging myself.
Yeah, that's wonderful. My last question, looking back, what would you
Yeah,
tell to your younger self when you just
younger self.
started your artistic journey? What would you tell yourself at that time?
Yeah. So, um, many times I think that if I had the knowledge and guidance to choose the correct course or to choose the correct education in art field, maybe I would have saved some years of my life. But then I think, okay, if I would have done that, I wouldn't have met the people I met the friends I met. So yeah, I do not regret my journey as such, but I would have definitely told myself not to compare myself or not to force myself to, find a specific style of your own, because I used to look at different artists having different styles, and I used to force myself that I should have unique signature style of my own, but that is not necessarily important. You just maybe just focus on experimenting and you will eventually find your voice and find your style eventually. So I really forced myself initially that I need to, focus on creating my style, and then only I will put out work. So I not wasted, but I invested lot of time, like almost a year or two. I invested in that time, and now I realize that it's not necessary to find a specific signature style to be an artist. You can be, you can have different
Yeah,
styles.
thank you so much. Very beautiful answer.
Yeah.
There's one more last question in the comment. I will read it and we will finish,
Yeah.
okay? Uh, what paint
Yes.
do you prefer most, water-based or oil-based, or
Based on wall
how
based.
can you decide which paint is perfect for specific wall?
Yeah. So to decide, it completely depends on the base. If the wall is already painted, and if it's oil-based wall, then you'll have to use oil paint. You cannot do water-based paint on oil-based wall. So the base paint needs to be considered. But if it's a new wall and you get to decide which paint do you want to use, then I definitely always prefer water-based paint because it is less sticky, less smelly, it's just less work because it dries off really quickly. So for oil paint, you need to wait for entire day to get like dry off the first layer. But with the water-based color, hardly you need 20-30 minutes and you can build up layers. So given a choice, I would definitely always recommend choosing
Mhm.
water-based colors.
Thank you, Payal. Thank you very much, and thank you for finding time. Wish you all the best
Thank you
with
so
coming back
much.
to your beautiful walls and enjoy
Yeah.
being a mom. It's also very i-
Yeah.
inspiring and
Yeah, thank you so much for having me because this is the first creative thing I have done after delivering my son. So I really feel like back at my work and really feel live. I was really nervous because I was doing it after 3 months. But yes, thank you so much
yeah,
for having me.
thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye.
Yay. Same to
Bye.
you. Bye bye.